So I talk a lot about feeding bees, when to feed bees, how to feed bees. It's such an important part of proper management, especially during dearth periods. But we're going to take a look at this hive, and this hive is a good example of when you don't need to feed in the summer months. This hive we've actually already identified this hive as having a little bit too much food, and we've added this spare box on top so that they can move some of that honey out of the brood nest up into that empty honey super. This time of year, I'm going for, in the summer dearth, I'm going for about 20 to 40 pounds of excess food in the second box. So that's my goal, 20 to 40 pounds. So that's a deep box, about half full, half to 2/3 full of honey, or a medium box that's almost completely full of honey. So that's kind of my target. A medium box 2/3 full, or a deep box half full is okay as well. You're going for that 20, 30, 40 pound range. I'm usually hitting in the 20 to 30 pound range this time of year because I want to leave plenty of room for brood. A quick way to gauge this is just cracking your two boxes apart and just lifting up on that top box and getting a good guess for how much weight it is. It might take a little bit of practice, but I can tell you just by lifting, this top box has probably 50 pounds of honey in it. You can dive down a little bit deeper and investigate to confirm that that is the case, and just pull out some of these frames and see, are they full of honey? Are they empty? Or are they full of brood? This time of year I'm looking for both. I'm looking for some frames full of honey, 3, 4 frames full of brood in the top box, some frames full of honey, and maybe an empty frame. You can see this is completely full of honey. Completely full of honey. We've got our apivar strip there. It's got a little bit of extra space in the middle, but not a lot. And virtually every single frame in this top box is the same way. It's just completely full of honey. A little bit of capped drone brood right there in the middle. Always a sign of a healthy hive. So, but by and large, every single frame in this top box is full of honey. And I'm not really going for that this time of year. Now, if this were October, and we were going into the winter months, I would be okay with that. But we're still a few months away from that. And so I want to make sure that my queen has plenty of room to lay. So if I've got 50 pounds of honey stored up here, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to feed them any sugar water or syrup. Now, I still will give them a pollen patty, and that'll help keep that brood rearing going and help them eat through some of this food. The only thing I'm really going to do, though, other than treating for mites and maybe giving them a pollen patty, is I'm going to take this medium box that was my honey super. So it's got drawn out frames, but no honey or syrup in it. And I'm going to put it right on top. Never a bad idea to keep that heat from bearing down right on top of the brood nest. But also it gives my bees the choice. If they want to move some of that honey out of the brood nests up into this top box to clear some space in case the queen wants to lay more, they now have that option. They're not going to be honey bound. So I'll come back, I'll leave them like this. I'm going to give them a pollen patty, and I'll come back in 3 weeks or so and just check and make sure their honey stores are still good. If they're down to maybe 20 pounds of honey, I might give them a gallon of syrup. But probably with this hive, they've got so much honey in that second box, it's mostly full. I probably won't have to feed this hive at all until next spring. So with this hive that already has all the honey they need, I'm just going to be focusing on making sure my varroa mites are under control and giving them a few pollen patties every other week or so up until late October, and that's it. Hive management's pretty simple at this point once they've already got that stockpile of food.